Hello everyone and welcome to this presentation of our assignment 3 of the computer graphics course. So as you can see on the screen, we have three objects here, a teapot and a sphere, and we also have a torus. The torus has come from the 3JS built-ins, and the teapot and the sphere has come from OBJ files which were made through Blender. So for the first point of action, I would like to highlight the lights over here. So we have three lights, 2 point lights and one ambient light. So we can see that the ambient light is in blue color. And we have 2 point lights here, and we have the representative tetrahedrons, which show the way the light propagates throughout the scene. We can also change their intensities as well. We also have an encompassing camera, which we can enable through this button, and we can see throughout the scene, you can see how the lighting has affected the camera angle, and we can see how it changes across the scene. Now at this top view, I'd like to maybe increase one of the lights and decrease the other and so on, and we can see the difference. Now let's select the shapes. So I'm going to select the teapot, and we can move this up or down or left or right or even in the Z direction. Then we can also try to rotate it by using quaternions. So I'm going to rotate this in the Y direction, in the X direction, and also in a hybrid direction. So that's how we have enabled the quaternions over here. Now we can also scale this up or scale this down, however we see fit. Now let's explore some of the features of our illumination mode. So for example, we can translate the camera, and you can see that this is stopped after you get to the 1.25x threshold that we have set in our code. We also can scale it the other way and bring it back again. We can also now turn off the lights and turn on the lights. So I've selected for one of the teapot here. Now we can maybe see this in a better angle from the top view. So that is the illumination mode. We will continue in this mode. Look at the new feature, that is shading. So we can use S here, and we can see the specular highlights here, which is staple of form shading. Lastly, we look at two new added features in this project, and that is textures and wireframes. So we use environment mapping to wrap these objects around in a texture, and in a short way, we will show you what the images are and how we've done that in the code. And we also have wireframing, so we can go into a little more detail about how this has been made. So this gives it a really cool look, and that also summarizes this demo. Next, we will go through the code walkthrough. We'll now continue our presentation through a small code walkthrough. Let's look at the environment mapping images that we've used. There are 6 of them, and you can see that this forms our surrounding, which we then use to map onto our ships. Then we add the object properties over here. You can see we have some emissivity, and we also have some properties which we use for the objects, such as reflectivity, metalness, and roughness. This really did define how they look on the stage. And then we add our geometries, we load up the objects with the set properties, and we update the cameras. We also have a few bounding boxes which we initialize, and I will come to that in just a bit. Now, the important point of this part of the code is the decay, also known as the attenuation, which specifies how the light intensity will vary with distance from the light source. And we've used a light helpers class for this. And so that essentially the shape of the light which we saw in the previous demo comes directly from this. Then we add the cameras, like I said, the renderer, selection logic, and we also have a fair few key bindings, which we've explained in the README file. So we have some translations, rotations, and quaternions. So the quaternions essentially is done in this function where we set the axis and then we apply the quaternion. We also have used the mouse click event API for that, and also the mouse drag event, as you have seen in the demo. Then the other important thing, also the important part of the assignment rather, was the bounding box logic, which we've implemented here. As you can see, for example, in this, for example, you can see that if it's above the threshold, then you push it back, you don't allow it to go forward. And we also have our own shading. So we do go out to form shading, as you've seen with the specular highlights. So these are some more of the functions. So this is the main function which we call the animate function, which looks at the time and then a stick and then calls all the event listeners and renders it and requests the animation frame. So that is it from this presentation. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.